Joining me now are House members Pat Fallon and Beth Van Duyne of the great state of Texas. And we're going to be talking specifically about Texas and what Trump will mean for that great state. Pat Fallon, first to you. And before we get into the tax debate, I want to talk about the speaker debate, because you've got such a beautiful opportunity here. Every party in the world would love to have a chance of having the executive office and the houses of Congress both be under their one party. Could Republicans, just a handful of Republicans, screw it up by voting down the speaker on Friday?
Well, David, hopefully not. We don't want to, if we can use a New Year's Eve analogy, fumble the ball, if you will. 5 million more Americans chose Republican leadership in Congress, in the House, than they did the Democrats. And we need to move forward. We're unified. We had a selection in November. We all nominated Mike Johnson uniformly, every single one. It was by acclamation. There was no other candidate. And David, to date, there's no other candidate. So we need to get the ball. The American people gave it to us, so we need to march it forward. President Trump has a great relationship with Mike Johnson. I mean, can you imagine John Boehner or Paul Ryan going to a UFC fight with Donald Trump? That would have never happened. So let's go back to limited government, low taxes, reasonable regulation, pass the tax, extend the tax cuts, and secure the border.
Well, Congresswoman, the question is not only what should come first, but can you do it all together in one package? Some people say you can. The bottom line, though, is that Americans are hurting right now. We have, even though the Fed lowered interest rates a tick a couple of weeks ago, the market is raising interest rates. Mortgage rates, a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage has gone from 6.1% to 6.7% in just the past 4 weeks. People's paychecks just aren't getting what they used to by a long shot. They want money in their pockets right now. They're overextending their credit card debt as a result of not being able to afford to pay cash for stuff. I mean, that's why we really think that a tax extension, and maybe with some extra tax cuts in there in some kind of reconciliation, is necessary as job number one, no?
I agree with you 100%. We've been trying to push to have one reconciliation bill to make sure that those tax cuts get extended and that a tax bill gets passed. You know, when I hear some of my Democrat colleagues talk about, oh, it's just the rich, it's just the billionaires, I need them to understand it's 90% of American taxpayers, if these cuts are not extended, will feel one of the largest tax increases in American history, 90% of American taxpayers. So I don't know how many people they think are billionaires, how many people they think are the rich, or how they define it. But they need to understand it's a very large portion of their constituents that are feeling it. And to your point earlier, when you were saying how much the increases in revenue, we can show when you give these small businesses, like 23 million small businesses, tax cuts, they actually invest in their employees. They invest in the future of their business and they grow. What that results in is higher revenues for the government, not lower, but it also represents opportunities for everyday Americans to start businesses and to be able to thrive with job opportunities. And this is exactly what we should be focused on. That reconciliation bill will be key in making sure that our American economy not only grows, but sustains.
Just 1 year from today, December 31st, 2025, is the last day Congress has to extend those tax cuts. If not, what Congresswoman Van Duyne just outlined, the increase of taxes for just about everybody paying taxes is going to happen. That means, by the way, that you're going to lose at least one, if not both, houses of Congress, because if Americans see Republicans sitting in power with their taxes going up, they're going to vote you out of office.
No, there's no doubt. And, you know, how about this? This is a novel approach. How about our campaign rhetoric matches what we actually do in Washington with our policy? We should absolutely, and it's not that Washington, D.C.'s never had a revenue problem. In fact, as my good friend Beth just pointed out, that, you know, this tax cuts increase revenue. We have a spending problem. We need to get the reins, and we have a plan, by the way. Republicans have passed it over and over again. It's the Chuck Schumer Senate that killed it. So we're ready to go to balance the budget and move forward. We love prosperity.
Well, let's talk about some positive news, because for once, you folks from Texas are going to have a friend in the White House. I mean, the governor of Texas on his own has been spending a lot of money, spending a lot of the Texas taxpayers' money in trying to do what the federal government's supposed to do, which is to secure the border. And in thanks for that, they get lawsuits, one after another lawsuit from the Biden administration. What does it mean, Congresswoman, what does it mean to the people of Texas to have not to have to fight a battle on two fronts, at the border and inside the Beltway?
Well, it means actually being able to save tax revenue, but also about national security, statewide security. We have an opportunity right now to get our borders under control again, which is what we saw during the first administration. Under the Biden administration, from day one, they took away many of the tools that were working to open up the borders. And as a result, you've seen 20 million people enter our country illegally. Having a partner in the White House means that you're going to be able to pass bills like H.R. 2 or Secure the Border Act out of the House, be able to get it passed in the Senate, and then be able to have it signed into law by a Republican president, which we did not see under the Biden administration.
Congressman, let's talk about the effects of what's happened at the border. And one of the most awful effects is the growth of these criminal gangs that come from mostly from Venezuela and the Tren de Aragua group, but they're from other places as well. And they've worked themselves into the criminal element in various cities all over the country, taking over, organizing mobs to go into stores and take what they can, and then they act as the fences to sell the stuff. The FBI is going to have a new director. Kash Patel's been nominated. If he's accepted, what does he have to do to root out the Tren de Aragua? I know the governor of Texas has called them a terrorist organization. The Biden administration falls short of that. They call it a transnational criminal organization. But is it time that something in Washington be done to target these people that hasn't been done before?
Well, yeah, it's the federal government's responsibility to secure our border. And how about creating synergy with law enforcement, with the federal, state, and locals, and letting Customs and Border Patrol do their jobs? I mean, I was in this Texas legislature, David, for 8 years. And over the last 13 years, there were 299,000 illegal immigrants arrested and charged with over 513,000 crimes that resulted in 187,000 convictions just in the last 13 years, just in Texas. So if you extrapolate those numbers, imagine what it would be across the country. American people want the border secure. They need it secure, because if you're not safe, then you're not free.
But Congresswoman, specifically, I was talking about using the FBI, as it hasn't been. They've been too busy trying to get stuff from Donald Trump's place in Mar-a-Lago and other things that don't have anything to do with security. But we have these organized gangs now becoming another kind of a mafia that has taken over large parts of the country. What does the FBI itself have to do to root out this new threat to security in the U.S.?
Well, one, it has to be given the permission by the administration to actually do its job. And under the Biden administration, its hands were held. They were very politicized instead of actually being used to be able to secure our borders and secure our national security. But the other thing that we need to make sure that we're doing is using immigration customs enforcement. Look, when we did H.R. 2, I was all for looking at some of these gang members, some of these drug cartels, and naming them as terrorist organizations, so we would actually be able to get our military involved in targeting them. I still think that's a very important idea. I'm encouraging, my good friend Pat Fallon was in the state legislature. He was also a council member. I was a council member at the same time, and I was mayor of a city that actually had a great relationship with ICE. And we actually worked local law enforcement with federal law enforcement to deport criminal illegal aliens. And I'm encouraging all of my mayors in District 24 in Texas to do the exact same thing. There's a lot of partnerships that can happen where you're not just using billions and billions of dollars of federal dollars, but working with state law enforcement that's already getting paid to do their job, allowing them to do it, and with local law enforcement to make sure that our streets are safe and our communities are safe as well.
Yeah, well, Kash Patel and Tom Homan working together can do a lot to solve this. And there are cops. We've been talking to police here in New York City. They don't necessarily agree with everything that Adams does, but they do agree that it's time for new help from Washington to do what they can't do. And they want to cooperate with people like Tom Homan, that a sanctuary city like New York is not supposed to be able to. I think the mayor of New York is coming around now, and he may help to end that roadblock. Best wishes for a wonderful new year to both of you. Pat Fallon, Beth Van Duyne, great to have you here. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, should Denmark absolutely